doing keto this time and incorporating these non-starchy veggies into each meal, I discovered something. I realized that plants were actually trying to kill me, and the assassination attempts would take place on the regular, pretty much straight after eating, and involved draining all the liquid from my body very, very quickly. And so I wasn't crazy about the immediate bathroom visits after eating. And so I started searching. And of course, at first I thought, well, this is all about the meat. Maybe I'm eating too much meat. Maybe that's causing an issue. And as I searched, I realized that it was maybe the vegetables. I found a video from Ken Berry where he singled out the particular vegetables I was eating as gut irritants. And so
Mhm.
I thought to myself, yeah, well, he's saying that you don't need to eat vegetables, and I'm not really married to these vegetables. I'm only eating them because I thought I had to. I'm only eating them because people have told me I need my vitamin C and my phytonutrients, and this doctor is saying I don't need them. I'm going to give them up and see what happens. And so I gave them up, and the rest is history. I've been carnivore ever since.
All right, Dave, could you tell us about your health journey? How did you discover carnivore?
Sure. So, I actually discovered carnivore through keto. I've done keto on and off over 2 decades. You'd go on, you'd have good results, and then you would discover some keto snacks or something like that, or,
Hmm.
eat something that gave you a taste for the junk food or whatever, and then fall off. But it got to 2022. I saw my doctor, and my doctor said to me, "Look, you're an alcoholic, and you also have pre-diabetes. We need to do something about this." And he wanted to put me on some drugs, and I wasn't crazy about the drugs that he wanted to put me on. I'm not crazy about drugs anyway, but I wasn't really into the ones he was recommending. So I asked him to give me a chance to sort it out myself. And so, in an effort to sort it out myself, I went keto
Mhm.
because I knew in the past, whenever I'd done it before, it gave me some self control. And getting off alcohol and controlling prediabetes is really all about self control. So, I wanted to give that a try. And so, now that I was doing keto, I was incorporating a small amount of non starchy veggies into every meal. And that was a big change for me because prior to doing that, my diet had been pretty bad before. Of course, there was a lot of alcohol involved, but there was a lot of processed or ultra processed junk food involved as well.
Mhm.
So now that I was doing keto this time and incorporating these non starchy veggies into each meal, I discovered something. I realized that plants were actually trying to kill me, and the assassination attempts would take place on the regular, pretty much straight after eating, and involved draining all the liquid from my body very, very quickly. And so I wasn't crazy about the immediate bathroom visits after eating. And so I started searching. And of course, at first I thought, well, this is all about the meat. Maybe I'm eating too much meat. Maybe that's causing an issue. And as I searched, I realized that it was maybe the vegetables. I found a video from Ken Berry where he singled out the particular vegetables I was eating as gut irritants. And so
Mhm.
I thought to myself, yeah, well, he's saying that you don't need to eat vegetables, and I'm not really married to these vegetables. I'm only eating them because I thought I had to. I'm only eating them because people have told me I need my vitamin C and my phytonutrients, and this doctor is saying I don't need them. I'm going to give them up and see what happens. And so I gave them up, and the rest is history. I've been carnivore ever since. And
Awesome.
that's been really good for my health. So many things have changed for me. Like better sleep, weight loss. more energy, clearer thinking, all that kind of thing. But the best thing for me has been the arthritis I had in my left knee just disappeared.
Wow. So when you're
Yeah,
going
so
through that, sorry to interrupt you. Going through that adaptation of like cutting out the vegetables, then going more a keto, low carb, more protein, more fat,
mm.
etc. How soon did you notice and feel a difference?
I mean, it was pretty much straight away as far as improved sleep and clarity of thought and things like that. That happened really quickly, but the arthritis didn't vanish until about 2 months in. So I was about 2 months in, about to cross the road. The light was changing, so it's kind of flashing green, it's about to go red. I wanna get across because if you have to wait for that particular crossing, it takes, like it's almost like feels like you're standing there for 10 minutes. So I'm like, "I've gotta get across the road." And normally, if I start to move quickly, if I start to run, my brain would give me this kind of signal like, "Stop, don't do it, this is gonna hurt." And, so I had that kind of fleeting moment, but I couldn't stop because there was traffic about to come, you know? So I continued moving fast, running, and, I just, like, realized as I was doing it, "Hey, this isn't hurting." So despite the signals my brain's giving me kind of subconsciously, like, "Stop, don't do this, you're gonna have like, this is gonna hurt you badly." I realized this isn't hurting, and so I got across the road, and I just kinda continued running like, I wonder if I can make it hurt again, when something good happens and you go, "Oh, this can't be true. Can't be this good," and, yeah, it just disappeared.
That's awesome. So when you went going from your doctor's experience telling you're an alcoholic and you're pre-diabetic, etc., I
Mm.
guess having to give up sugar and give up carbohydrates as well as the alcohol, that would have been very difficult for you.
It it was, but it ended up being easier than I thought it would be. Part of the reason I think is because I was hearing it from someone else and someone in a position of authority. Um, I mean, spoiler alert, I knew I was an alcoholic and I knew I had to do something about it. But when it's only you that recognizes it, it it's a lot harder. It's a lot easier to put it off. Go, okay, well, I'll get wasted till the end of the week, and then I'll start. I'll start on Monday.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of Mondays you can start on, and it just keeps getting put off and put off and put off.
Yeah.
And but hearing it from the doctor made it feel very real. And like he was saying, you don't want to continue this way because you come back a year later, it's going to be much worse.
Mhm.
And but of course, his solution was drugs. So that was the other kind of motivation, because I was thinking, okay, the drugs are starting now. I'm almost 50. It things are getting very real. I don't want to be one of these people that their social life is going to the doctor every week or whatever to pick up their latest prescription. So there was all that kind of push, but also because I knew that I could get the self control with keto,
Mhm.
um, that kind of that made everything feel like I did have an escape. And I coupled that with changing the way I was doing things. So one of my kind of triggers was that towards the end of the day, like I would work late because I was English teaching. So it started like midday or 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I'd work through until like 8:30, 9:30 at night. And so I'd be like the second last lesson of the day or the last lesson of the day, and I'd be thinking, I can't do this. I just can't do this anymore. And I would kind of then this other voice would interrupt that feeling of I can't do this anymore and say, "Don't worry about it. Just get through this lesson and you'll be able to crack open a beer on the way home and have that on the way back." Because drinking on the train in Japan isn't frowned upon, right?
Okay.
Because no one like allowing people to drink alcohol in public places is not like it would be in Australia. Like, it's not like everyone would just go suddenly ballistic and, like, "Hook me up, give me a drip," kind of thing, you know? So, it's socially acceptable to do that here, and, so I'd be sitting on the train having my beer, and that would be my relaxation after a a hard day, and, so I had to just change my everything I was doing. So instead of leaving work in the evening and walking past the convenience store where I could pick up some beers, I would leave work and I would go the back way and walk around and go, so I didn't see any of that stuff. On the way to work, because it was close to lunchtime when I'd be arriving at work, I wouldn't walk past any bars and all this kind of thing. So I just made a point of like not allowing myself to be triggered, coupled with the self-control that I had now, that little bit of additional self-control I had, that was what got me over the hump.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've definitely had similar experiences trying to get off of sugar and carbohydrates. Last I went to the dentist, had a cavity removed, and my dentist said to me very plainly, she said, "Todd, you need to cut the sugar." I said,
Mm.
"Really?" Said, "You're like, you've had 4 of your adult teeth removed or replaced." Said, "You need to stop doing this." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that sounds really serious." So I think once you have that initial scare from a medical profession, it's like, "Okay, I really need to make a change now. It's getting serious."
Yeah, 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 definitely. And so, as hard as it was to hear at that time, I'm glad I did hear it.
Mm.
So yeah, it's been an awesome journey, and I wouldn't change it for anything. It's and realizing there's a massive community of people out there who are doing the same thing, and they're all having the same kind of results has also been quite eye-opening.
Yeah. So you've started from keto. At what point did you discover the carnivore diet?
Oh, that was like within a couple of weeks because the vegetables that I was consuming were basically nightshades. Right, and it was like red peppers and yellow peppers and that kind of thing, and so I was thinking, "Well, these are really high in vitamin C," and so they affected me really quickly, and it was just consistent, and I was just like, "I've gotta do something about this." You know, I don't wanna spend my life living in the bathroom,
Yeah,
and yeah, so it moved away from keto very, very quickly.
gotcha. So Ken Berry was the original um, inspiration for you then?
Yeah, and so what happened was from that Ken Berry video, I started to get all that additional reinforcement as well that I'm doing the right thing because after watching that Ken Berry video, then I start to see lots of Bart K videos popping up and Anthony Chafee videos popping up. And at the time, there was another guy who was doing lots of interviews called Joey Schwartz, and his videos were popping up all the time. And so it was like I was able to every minute of the day when I wasn't do when I wasn't working and I was just doing something passive where I could listen, I was just getting that reinforcement. Okay, this is the right thing to do. Lots of people are doing this, and yeah, so it made it really easy.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a great community on social media doing carnivore, and it's a little bit rebellious, which I kind of like, sort of going against the sort of the government recommendations and the guidelines, like get your whole grains, get your 5-7 fruit and veg every day. Yeah, it's interesting. It makes me really distrust the government guidelines a whole lot more.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, I'm 50 now, and it's taken me this long to actually get it into my head that these guidelines are so wrong, because if I follow the guidelines perfectly, whether it's the food pyramid or whatever they call it now, if
Mhm,
I follow those guidelines perfectly, I will put on weight. I will be inflamed. I will feel sick.
mhm.
I will feel lethargic. And, it's something that I think people need to find out on their own, but they shouldn't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but yeah, I mean, the first time I tried Atkins or low carb back in, I think it was 2000, um, or 2001. Um, that was just after the Atkins book had been republished, so there was a lot of kind of media buzz about it, and a lot of people starting to do it and whatever. And I was living in Melbourne at the time, and every day there was stuff in the media about this diet. And there's a show in Australia called A Current Affair,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure if it's still on or not, but it was like 6:30 in the evening, and the every day they had a segment about Atkins and how it was going to kill you, and they had like university professors, and they had all these different types of people, dietitians, and all this kind of thing every night saying, "You need your fiber, you need this, you need that. That's going to kill you. Your brain needs glucose. Blah 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 blah." And so it just got overwhelming, and, that first time I tried it, it was like, "I can't do this anymore," because every turn someone's telling me it's wrong. And so I think that's the other thing people go through, is even when they try and improve their diet, when they try and they realize, "Okay, bread doesn't make me feel good," and they give up the bread, or the pasta doesn't make me feel good, and then you get just everyone telling you, "You're wrong. You're crazy, you're gonna die." And so everyone eventually goes back to being inflamed because then no one criticizes them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the recommendations are all backwards. But it's almost like they've been telling us the same thing for so long and over and over and over again. It's really going to be difficult for them to say, "Oh, sorry, we got it wrong. Sorry about all the people we've killed and the family members we've made metabolically healthy." Like it's just not going to happen, unfortunately.
That's right. Yeah. But, yeah, I think that's why it's important for people like us just to be out there talking about it, and the more that we discuss it, the more people realize there is an alternative.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not doing stuff on social media just to get more followers. I actually believe in carnivore as a lifestyle, and I just feel so much better getting off the standard, American standard Australian sort of sad diet. Like I just feel so good, and I want more people to find out about it so they can be healthy as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And, I think we are having an impact. And the reason I think we're having an impact is because there's more and more pushback.
Mm,
And I think when you get pushback, that's when people are being forced to take notice. Because if you're just a fringe group, like, it's easy to go, just ignore them, they'll go away, right?
yeah.
But when you've got lots and lots of medical professionals out there and researchers and whatever, these guys are crazy, they're going to kill themselves, don't they know what the studies say?
Mm,
And when there's all that out there, um then you that shows that this we're chipping away.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's definitely more people talking about it, which is awesome.
Mm, yeah.
I find it quite curious. Even I'm not sure about in Japan, but in the supermarkets in Australia, all the fattier beef mince is cheaper than the leaner or the less fatty beef mince. But with everyone's been brainwashed thinking, oh, you don't want animal fat, you want to lower cholesterol, you want to look after your heart health, all this kind of stuff. And even like, yeah, it's just tough. People keep hearing the same thing over and over again. It's actually more expensive to eat low fat, get your fruits and vegetables in, and there's just so much wastage with groceries. I've noticed, like I hardly waste anything now on carnivore.
Yeah, the one of the times I visited Australia a few years ago, I went to Coles to get some meat, and when I was getting some mince, I noticed they'd sold out of everything until I looked at the bottom shelf, and I realized all the high-fat mince was still there,
Mm,
you know? Everyone's gone crazy taking the low-fat stuff, but yeah. Um, and it's yeah, it's just, unfortunately, everyone's brainwashed into believing that low fat is the way to go.
mm,
And what low fat means ultimately is you're always going to be hungry and you're
mm,
always going to be looking for the next fix.
exactly.
Mm. So yeah, it's going to be a slow process of kind of getting people to understand that the reason they're unhealthy or they don't feel well or they're bigger than they want to be is because what they're being told is not necessarily what's gonna work for their body.
Exactly. It's like Gary Fettke says, if you live by the food pyramid, you'll end up looking like the food pyramid, and then you'll die by the food pyramid. It's it's kind of funny, but it's also a bit sad as well. People
Right.
just don't know any better, unfortunately.
Yeah. It is, yeah, it is very s and actually, when you bring up Gary Fettke, the sad thing is that they will weaponize the legal system against people like Gary Fettke to and they'll weaponize everything they can to keep people like that quiet who just want to help other people. And sadly, I don't think it's like this. I don't think it's really like a big kind of conspiracy where they're going after necessarily. I think a lot of the pushback and a lot of going after people like Gary Fettke, it could be put down to just people trying to protect their jobs, protect their turf,
Mm,
and kind of almost like bureaucratic, kind of red tapey kind of people. Because you see it in companies all the time. It's like people don't care about doing the best job they can.
mm,
They just want to protect their turf. And they
exactly.
just wanna say the right things so the people above them think they're the best kind of employee, or they're the best dietitian, or they're the best whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny. I was watching one of Gary's videos, and he's talking about how this originally, the legal part of it all kind of originated. He said he never got a complaint from a patient, like because he was helping them lose weight, improve their health. They didn't need to have surgery and have limbs, chopped off from excessive sugar and carbohydrate intake. It was more complaints from dietitians and his co-workers, which he sounds unbelievable because you assume if you're in a hospital, you're working with doctors, you assume that's like a team environment. But it was pretty disappointing to hear what he's gone through. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just crazy. How dare you help people?
exactly.
Stop doing that. I mean,
Exactly.
one of the I don't know if you can call it charges but one of the things he was accused of was inappropriately reversing someone's type 2 diabetes on national TV. And it's like, what, what is that? How can you inappropriately reverse someone's type 2 diabetes?
Exactly. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's a funny world we're living in. Talk to us about your like what does your menu look like and how many meals do you have a day?
Sure. So I eat typically one meal a day,
Mhm.
and it's usually closer to breakfast time or an early lunch. And it's very, very basic. It's like 8 eggs scrambled, or 6 to 8 eggs, depends how I feel, and it's about, half a kilo or a pound of beef. So it's sliced beef,
Mhm.
The beef is typically sliced in Japan because they use chopsticks. It's not so easy to pick up a steak with chopsticks. So, yeah, all the beef sliced like it would be in a stir fry or something. And yeah, and that's all I have. I put salt on that, and yeah, there's not much to it. I used to put cheese, but cheese keeps me a little bit bloated or keeps me retaining a bit of water. So yeah, I've done away with that. And if I feel hungry, I'll eat, but mostly I don't. If I feel hungry towards the end of the day, it's more likely it's boredom rather than actually being hungry.
Mhm.
And so a guest told me once that they'd heard Dr. Chafee saying that if you're hungry, kind of decide whether you want to eat a can of sardines. And if you don't feel like a can of sardines, then you're not hungry. It's just boredom, and that makes sense, because it's not the most appetizing taste. So if you're not hungry for sardines, you're probably not hungry.
Exactly, yeah, and I do eat sardines once or twice a week just to get the omega-3s in, but, yeah, I don't enjoy it, I just sort of do it because I know it's good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you're on 1 meal a day, usually, how did you find the transition from the sort of standard diet to 1 meal a day? Was that a challenge, or did you build up to that gradually?
No, it really just happened by accident. So one of the people I'd been watching was Stan Ekberg, and he talks a lot about fasting.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, I'd like to try this fasting thing, but I was always like, I can't do like I'm just getting off alcohol is enough for me, kind of thing. Um, and so I was eating just 3 meals a day. But then one Sunday I woke up late, which is unusual for me, but I woke up really late and I ended up not having anything to eat until much later either. So it was probably like mid-afternoon when I had when I actually ate something, and all that was in the house was eggs. So I had like 12 eggs scrambled, and at that time I was having cheese. So I had cheese in that as well. And because I ate at that time of the day, I wasn't hungry again. And then so I kind of woke up the next morning thinking, "Oh, well, I only did 1 meal a day yesterday. That was kind of fasting, so I'm gonna see if I can do it again." And it just came from that. And that one day just made me realize, well, I can get through a day without feeling hungry and only eating 1 meal a day. So, yeah, it just came from that.
Nice. Yeah. It's definitely easy when you're productive, you have a lot of things to do. It's easy to be distracted if you're keeping busy. I think if you're sitting around and looking at the pantry and the fridge all day, it's going to be a bit of a challenge.
Right. Yeah, definitely. But then once you get onto carnivore, and whether you're doing 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day or whatever it is, one of the absolutely awesome things about carnivore is you're not tied to the kitchen anymore. You're not kind of looking longingly at the fridge like it's, an ex-girlfriend that dumped you in high school that you never got over or something.
Yeah,
It's like you just switch off. The emotion, it takes different times for different people, but the emotion is now out of the food, and food becomes this functional thing, and it's like, I'm just gonna eat, I'm gonna enjoy it, but I'm gonna be done, and then I can get on with the rest of my life, probably like we're supposed to do.
exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, there's no lions or tigers sitting there going, I could just go another pancake.
Mm,
It's just they just eat and then they do whatever they do.
exactly. Yeah. It makes a lot more sense. If you're hungry, you eat. If you're not hungry, you don't need to eat. And it's just found that food noise has gone. I don't have those cravings like I used to on carnivore.
Yeah. I mean, I remember back in the day, they used to talk about eat 4 small meals a day or eat 6 small meals a day and all this kind of thing, right? You should be grazing, not eating lots of big meals. And you think, well, look at the size of the animals that graze. Look at a cow. I don't want to look like a cow. He's taking your advice. He's eating lots of small meals throughout the day, and look at the size of him. So, yeah, it's all the advice is 180 degrees in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it's almost like we should just do the opposite of whatever we're being told to do.
Mm. The interesting thing is, every animal out there doesn't have to think about what they eat. They just eat what they're meant to eat.
Mm,
No other animal thinks about balance. Only we think about balance. And there's also something else. We are the only species that has a wallet. So there's probably something to that, you know? Like, we're the only ones that are confused about what we're supposed to be eating, but we're also the only ones that can have money extracted from our pocket.
mm.
Those things probably go together in some way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have all this kind of processed, highly engineered, highly addictive food that's always available. I mean, you just can't escape it.
Yeah. And the sad thing about that is 99% of the people that are in the supermarket putting all this box junk in their shopping trolleys,
Mm,
um, they're putting that in there, reading the labels on it, going, "Oh, it's got a heart healthy tick. That says low fat. That says
mm,
no cholesterol.
yep.
I'm doing the right thing. One of these days, I'm gonna lose this weight and feel better." And, it's so sad
Mm,
because, it can be easy to jump quickly to the kind of, the thought that, well, these people have a choice. If they don't wanna eat healthy, then that's their problem. But it's not as simple as that because their whole lives, like we have been as well, they've been educated in the wrong direction.
mhm.
That these box things are good for them. It's just everything in moderation. It just needs to be balanced, right? So
Yeah.
they've all been educated in the wrong way. So you can't really blame people who are like overweight, obese, all that kind of thing for, or have other chronic conditions for their situation when basically the whole establishment has been actively educating them in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. I'm thinking when actually start working as a PT and helping people, I really want to help people lose weight and be healthy and have that, have more energy, have longevity. Almost feel like I have to de-educate them first before I say, this is the direction, that would be beneficial for you. But it's going to be so hard because you've been hearing for so long, fat makes you fat, cholesterol gives you heart disease. Like, even when I did my first aid course yesterday, the instructor said, "Oh, if someone's had a heart attack, that means they had too much cholesterol." And I almost wanted to say, "No, hang on a second, you're wrong." But I thought that's not. I don't know if that's going to benefit. It's not going to benefit him. It's not going to benefit the class to be a distraction. I just really wanted to say something though.
Yeah. But when you're working individually with people, it's almost like you have to become like a lawyer would be in a courtroom and like get them to to understand what you want them to understand by asking them questions that get them to give affirmative answers. So it's almost like, you know have you been eating by the guidelines for your whole life? Yes.
Mm,
How's that been working out for you? Just lead them to that. It's obviously not good for you, is it?
mm. Yeah,
you
I think
know
if everyone had more of have a good think about how do they feel after they eat certain foods, we wouldn't be in this position. But I think when you're eating so much sugar and that sort of processed food, it's just so addictive. So even though you might be physically full, you just want to keep eating it. It's like it's not a treat, it's a trap. You just can't help yourself.
that's one of the biggest things you notice actually on carnivore is your whole life, you've gone through 30, 40, 50 years of your life thinking that Full means I can't possibly fit anything else into my mouth, and my stomach is now pushing me away from the dining table, and I'm gonna have to undo the top button of my pants. That's what full means
Yeah,
to everybody. And then when you go carnivore, you realize that's not what feeling full means at all. Feeling full means that you're not thinking about food and you've got the energy to go and do the rest of your life.
mm,
And yeah, your stomach doesn't have to be popping out.
exactly. Um, yeah, like your body's just looking for nutrients, and it wants a certain amount of nutrients that's unique to you as an individual, and then you kind of know, I'm satisfied, I'm full. You don't necessarily have to be, you know, popping out of your shirt, or loosening the top button on your pants to feel full. It's yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, the Pringles have got that slogan, "Once you pop, you can't stop."
Exactly.
And, that tells you a few things. The first thing is the food scientists that are working at food companies, um, they're not there for your benefit. They're there
Yeah,
to get you to keep, not be able to stop.
yeah,
And the second thing is the fact your body can't stop once you start eating something like that, it's it's a signal. It's a signal that your hormones are messed up, and it's a signal that your body is desperately searching for nutrition that it's not gonna find at the bottom of a Pringles packet
yeah,
or a tube.
exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Speaking of like nutrients, do you take any supplements, or do you drink coffee or anything like that on carnivore?
Um, I take, as far as supplements go, it's just like salt, some potassium, some magnesium. Use, magnesium malate powder because some of the, magnesiums can upset my stomach, like, have more of a kind of diuretic effect or whatever. Um, and, yeah, I still drink coffee, but it's just black coffee.
Yep.
And I know it's a plant, but I kind of look at it like I've given up so much. It's my one kind of thing, and so I just keep that in.
Yeah.
And because of the lack of sleep that I get anyway, I find that if I don't drink coffee, one of the problems I have is staying awake.
Yeah. Yeah. I just find it interesting that a lot of people in carnivore are kind of split down the middle in terms of coffee. Like people like Anthony Chaffee saying it's a plant, therefore it has defensive chemicals. You shouldn't be drinking it. Other people saying it's fine. Yeah, I have tried giving it coffee, but it's kind of tough. It's like it can make the day very long if you're only eating one meal a day.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's as a former Melburnian, it can be pretty hard to live in Melbourne and not drink coffee.
Oh yeah,
Um, it's like it's like living in Melbourne and not supporting an AFL team. It's like which is me.
me as well.
It's like every conversation is awkward from that point, because that's one of the first questions you get. So, what team do you support? "Well, I don't support a team. What?
Yeah,
What's wrong with you?
yeah,
So yeah, and it's a bit like that. If you don't drink coffee in Melbourne, it's a little bit like that as well. Um, but yeah, I feel like you don't you don't have to be. I understand there's probably benefits of not having coffee because it's a neurotoxin. It does have defense chemicals in there. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't think you have to be perfect.
yeah, exactly. I think there's a level of carnivore that can suit everyone. Like you don't have to be super strict unless you've got like an autoimmune
Oh, yeah,
condition or
we
health.
don't. Yeah, we don't have to be vegans, basically.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, so,
You did it wrong. That's
yeah,
what. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You were never truly vegan in the first place. Um,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I've tried doing plant based. I went plant based for 3 months. Remember when the Game Changers documentary came out? That was sort of during the COVID lockdown era, which was fantastic. yeah, tried doing. I was incredibly bloated. Just felt awful. I thought this can't be normal, right?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, any I've never tried to go plant-based, but any time in my life where I've eaten basically only carbohydrate for a meal, I feel horrible afterwards. But I
Mm,
never at the time, I never put it down to, "Oh, this must be the fact I'm eating just carbohydrates," but now I know why.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
It's funny. Like even if you go to the doctor and say, "Look, I don't feel good," they never ever say, "Oh, what have you been eating?" It's always, "Oh, I'll put you on this medication. I'll put you on this. You've got this." They never talk about lifestyle and diet. Whereas if you took your dog to the vet, the first thing I would ask is, "Okay, what are you feeding him?" Like,
mm.
yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, if your dog doubles in size over the period of a year, and you take it to the vet, they're not gonna go, "Oh, we've got some injectables for that." They're gonna
Yeah,
go, "What? Why are you giving him pasta?"
yeah,
It's
yeah. It's crazy. Like it works for one animal, doesn't work for us. You know.
but, yeah, I think, it's just a matter of getting as many people to at least consider that they might have been, led down the garden path by the food pyramid and whatever else, My Plate or whatever the things are called now, and at least if they've got the information, then they can make an educated decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's good to be skeptical and sort of maybe think, the guidelines aren't there to benefit me and my well-being. They're there to benefit, the big pharma and the big processed food company.
And I think it's the big pharma and big food are just complementary, uh, business models that kind of have, through sheer dumb luck, have realized that, "Oh, we are complementary. So you make them sick, we fix them, and then, it's just this cycle that keeps going around."
Yeah, it's a 2-for-1 meal deal. You made metabolically unhealthy from eating processed food, then you go on the prescriptions and the supplements and medications for the rest of your life.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah.
And I find it interesting. I remember when I was a kid, we didn't have these sort of supplement stores and these massive rows and rows of different vitamins and supplements. But now it's like there's actually individual, supplement stores. I don't know if it's like that where you are in Japan. It's just, yeah, it's an interesting observation.
Yeah, like, the kind of GNCs and all this kind of thing, and yeah, they've got equivalents to that in Japan.
Mhm.
Um, but, yeah, I mean, even when you go into the supermarket and you see in the supermarket, they have a health food section, and it's
Yeah,
like, "Well, what's all the other stuff then?" And and the fact that the health food section doesn't contain any health foods is another kind of scary thing, you know?
yeah, you've just got to stay to the outside perimeter of the like just go to the eggs and the meat section. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Um, so, like, in Japan, of course, carbohydrates are a big thing here because obviously, rice is a staple and things like that. But one of the nice things in Japan is meat isn't demonized. And I mean, they have the same guidelines. If you go to the doctor, they'll say, "Oh, what's your cholesterol?" and "Oh, saturated fat," blah blah blah. But the average person, when they eat meat, they're going to choose the fattier cuts. They want the fat marbled through the beef. They want all these things. There's very few people out there going, "Oh, wow, those lean cuts of meat, they're awesome." And here it's not like the lean cuts are not going to be more expensive. The lean cuts will actually be cheaper here.
Oh, interesting. But people are, they obviously know that you need the fat. You need the fattier cuts of meat. Otherwise, you're not going to feel satisfied, right?
Yeah, and like, so the thing about Japan is nothing ever gets in the way of culture here, and it's always been cultural to eat that way. And so, like, it doesn't matter who it is, like, whether it's like the World Health Organization guidelines, whatever it is, Japan's not going to accept anyone coming in here and kind of changing the culture of their food or any other type of culture. So yeah, it's very fixed.
Yeah. And I was curious about when you started going carnivore, how did you manage like going out, to restaurants and
Well, that's one of the great things about Japan is like a lot of restaurants are meat only because they have Korean barbecue style restaurants here, which are called yakiniku restaurants. And those, it's basically there's a grill in front of you. You pick which cut of meat you want from the menu, and they bring it out to you, and you just grill it yourself. And typically that's marinated in something, but you can ask for it without the marinade. It's one of the easiest places to say carnivore.
awesome.
Yeah.
So when you went carnivore originally, how did you find family and friends responded to how you're eating?
I it's uh, a little bit hard to say in a way, except for family, because I kind of at the time, because I was so like, I knew what kind of addictive personality I have. I didn't want to be in a situation where I would likely be around alcohol or anything like that. So I basically told all my friends, "Don't invite me anyway. Don't invite me out. I don't want to." Because the way I act is like I will decide, okay, today I'm going on a diet, right? And the next day, a friend will say, "Hey, we're having a dinner party at my house tonight. You want to come round?" And I'll be like, "There goes the diet."
Yeah,
And I'll get more drunk that day than I would have got before, that kind of thing. So I just told all my friends to like, I'm not coming out. But as far as my family, they thought it was weird, but they can see how well I'm doing. So they're like, okay, you do you. Yeah, do whatever you want. But yeah, it's been pretty easy.
that's awesome.
Mm.
Yeah, I've had some funny reactions from people recently asking if don't you eat vegetables? When was the last time you had some fruit? Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I got that a little bit at work at the time, like kind of, the typical, what, you mean no vegetables? No fruit? Not even, not even broccoli? No, no. Um, so yeah, it's you get that, but I kind of wear that as a badge of honor now if I do get kind of the weird questions or whatever. I'm just like, yeah, this is it's and for someone like me who is typically kind of very, very shy and I didn't speak up much, when I'm in a room full of people that I don't know very well and all that kind of thing. It's actually a good it's a bit of a conversation starter now. Like if you're out for dinner and you're the only one, you've got 5 steaks in front of you and everyone else has got their plate covered in mashed potatoes and garbage. It's like it's a conversation starter. Everyone's suddenly paying you lots of attention and you're the star of the show, just because you're eating a few steaks.
Yeah, exactly. I had an interesting experience. Going to a restaurant with some family a couple of weeks ago. I just sort of had to quietly ask the waiter, "Oh, can I not have you know this?" There was a set menu at an Italian restaurant, so it was like either pasta or pizza. So I'm like, "Oh, how am I going to navigate this and not make people uncomfortable?" But I think it's just a matter of being discreet and sort of politely asking the waiter, "Oh, can I just order the steak just cooked in butter, please? I don't want any sides or anything." They're like, "Oh, yeah, I guess we could do that." It's like, wasn't that big a deal. It's just, yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, like uh, I've got a friend from Melbourne that's in Japan that I'm catching up with today for lunch. And like we'll probably end up going to the Outback Steakhouse for lunch. He'll have whatever he orders from the menu, and I'll probably have 2 or 3 steaks. It's just it's easy, and it makes people giggle and stuff, and yeah.
Mm. And do you find that when you're on carnivore, you just save so much time because there's hardly any meal prep? You know what you need from when you get groceries. It's just like the amount of time I've saved. It's just, yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. and, I've had people say to me, how do you put out so many interviews and all that kind of thing? And I said, "Well, I've got so much more time than I used to," you know? Takes 5 minutes to go into like, I told you those traffic lights take a long time to change, Like, I can get across the road, get into the supermarket, buy what I need, and get back before the next traffic light change, that and so
Yeah.
it's fast. Shopping doesn't take any time. There's no, "Oh, what am I gonna do today? Oh, I had that yesterday. What am I gonna" There's none of that. It's just like, "Yeah, I had that yesterday. It was nice. I'm gonna have it again." And, then you're eating once a day. There's no cleanup. There's what? A fork,
Mm.
maybe a knife, a bowl, whatever, and it's it's a bowl. I'm kinda starting to sound like a farmyard animal or something. And, like, cleanup's quick, you preparations, you're not create like, I've watched some of these, vegan channels where they're showing you meal prep,
Mm.
right? No carnivore has that much waste.
No,
They've
no.
got all the nuts and they've got all the bits wrapped in plastic and all this kind of thing. What's gonna happen to that?
Yeah,
These environmentally conscious people that are, like, filling landfill full of plastic, you know, um, there's none of that with carnivore.
exactly. It's like you get, your meat, your beef, eggs, butter, maybe bacon, and that you're done. It's like you've got a full meal ready to
Mm,
go. Just doesn't take any time.
mm.
I mean, cooking and chopping up vegetables, that just takes it feels like it just takes a lifetime now. I just couldn't imagine going
A
back to it.
and you're throwing half of it away,
Yeah.
and the vegetable compartment in your freezer or in your fridge rather,
Mm.
is, like, you should be charging for that space, right? Because basically the vegetables you pay for the vegetables in the supermarket, and then they are just basically renting that space until they go bad, and then you gotta throw them in the bin,
Yep.
Like, uh, you're just spending money on nothing, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. I keep hearing carnivore's expensive. I think it's actually the cheapest diet I've ever done.
Well, yeah, I worked it out at the beginning when I started doing it, and I was just like, "Well, this is what I'm eating, this is what it's costing me. What was I eating before?" And, like, I was actually disgusted with myself when I started listing out how many times I was visiting the shop every day.
Mm.
Disgusted from the perspective of, like, how much garbage I was eating, but also from the perspective of, like, I'm doing this while I'm at work and I'm earning this much per hour. And just to be able to do that, this is how much time and money I'm spending buying garbage during the day to keep me kind of awake enough to be able to do my job. It's terrible. Mm.
Yeah. I think more people need to do that, like to actually go through what you're spending on groceries a week and think about, I don't feel good eating this way. Maybe I need to make a change. But unless you have that kind of scare from, your doctor in your case, you need to make a big drastic change. It's I don't know if it's going to happen.
But, just looking at it through the perspective of money can be enough to get you to make a change.
Mm.
Like if you're thinking, let's say, just talking round figures, let's say you earn $100 a day in your full time job,
Mhm.
right? But you end up on, you know, specialty coffee and snacks and whatever. You end
Mm.
up spending 50 to $60 a day. There's a
Yeah,
problem.
I think people need to do more research and watch more of your videos. I think.
Well, yeah, they just need to get more involved in thinking about their body's actual, like, how am I actually feeling? If I'm waking up and every day when I wake up, I feel worse than I did the previous day,
Mm.
this doesn't seem normal.
Yeah.
Again, when you look at any other animal, there's no, like, a hippo is eating its normal diet, right? What it's supposed to eat. There's no hippos waking up going, "Oh, I can't get out of bed. I can't do this." I can't face another day.
Yeah, need
Like,
coffee.
but that's us.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing, and people just have to look at that and go, "Yeah, that doesn't really make sense."
But I think more people are talking about nutrition and diet and how they actually feel. And I think the best thing you do is go to Instagram, go to YouTube to get your information about nutrition and health. Because obviously, the guidelines and the doctor aren't going to help you because they're just kind of been brainwashed as well in a way. It's just kind of perpetuating the same lies over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you can't rely on your doctor, and the more I've really thought about this, the more I think if I had been to university for years and years and years and spent the amount of money that you have to become a doctor and studied that much, and then I have to do continuing education and all that kind of thing, I would be offended that my job has basically been boiled down to listening to someone for 5 minutes and then going, okay, well, the steps in my book tell me that this is the medication that I need to prescribe to you. I'd be
Mm.
offended if that was my job. Like, I want a job where I have control of my decisions, and I can actually analyze what's going on and work out, what the problem is and address it in the way that I see fit, not be dictated to by, you know, big pharma or whatever.
It's like I can see where people are in the position that they're in because they've been told their whole lives this is what you need to eat. The doctor's saying the same thing. The guidelines are agreeing with
Mm,
what
mm, mm.
they're saying. You've probably been taught from your parents or friends this is how you should be eating. So it's not really a mystery, but I think people need to wake up and take their health back and think, well, I feel this way because of the food I'm eating. I need to make a change. Well, Dave, how can people reach out to you? So you can tell us about your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so my YouTube channel can be found by searching on No Carb Life or at Zero Carb. And I started my channel uh, almost 3 years ago now. And it was just a way to kind of say, I'm angry because I realize we've been lied to about nutrition, etc. And I thought, 10 people had viewed my videos or something. And it turns out I enjoyed actually talking to other carnivores about their experiences. And it's just kind of snowballed from there. And at this point, I've got 1,300 interviews
Wow.
on there, and hoping there's lots more.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, I watch your videos every day. I'm not just saying that because I feel like the longer that you're on Carnivore and you're listening to people, they're on the same journey. It's just so much easier to stick to.
Well, the reason I started doing the interviews was at first it was a bit of a networking thing with other carnivores, but then it became like we just got to get the word out there and let more people know about it. Um, but it's actually now I realize that it's very good motivation for people who are doing carnivore to be able to go, well, there's somewhere I can go to listen to someone's story each day, and just hearing someone else talk about what troubles they've been through and how carnivores help them. It's a good way of keeping people on track.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's why I've kind of kept up with it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing, Dave. And it's yeah, that those days you have those sort of tough, challenging days. It's easy just to watch one of your videos or someone else's videos and sort of think, I'm actually on the right track. and I'm actually doing the right thing for my health. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Dave. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me on, Todd. Really appreciate it.
No worries. And I'll leave a link to your YouTube channel in the description.
Thank you very much.